Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we're going to look at 5 things spotted in Arsenal versus Liverpool. The Gunners were taken apart by Liverpool in the second half as Jurgen Klopp's men scored 3 goals to seal the points at the Emirates Stadium. So now we're going to look at 5 things spotted in Arsenal versus Liverpool. So the first thing on the list is Alexandre Lacazette's frustration. It wasn't a particular good night for any Arsenal player, none more so than Alexandre Lacazette, who cut a frustrated figure up front and struggled throughout the game. The Frenchman has been in good form for the Gunners, and manager Mikel Arteta has dodged the question over his striker's future by saying contract talks will take place at the end of the season. However, there was little to suggest on Saturday night that the former Lyon striker will be earning himself a new deal despite his recent resurgence in form. When Gabriel Magalhaes aimed a pass for Lacazette on 70 minutes, the 29-year-old raised his arms in frustration and shook at his head in exasperation, a common theme that could be seen for most of the 90-plus minutes. Alexandre Lacazette's inability to link up with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was also another disappointment from the game, and perhaps it's no surprise that it was the first time that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Alexandre Lacazette and nicolas pepe had started an attack together since the FA Cup final last season. So the next thing on the list is Cedric's tunnel talk. Cedric Soares came on as a substitute for the injured Tierney towards the end of the first half. The Portuguese has performed consistently over the past few weeks and was recently rewarded with a call-up to the Portugal national team for the first time in over 2 years. And the former Southampton right-back's leadership skills could be seen as the players waited in the tunnel before coming out for the second half. Cedric Soares could be seen instructing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on what to do when the ball comes to him on the left-hand side, making gestures with his hands which suggested overlapping runs could be a feature of the second half. Unfortunately for the Arsenal captain, it turns out to be an uninspiring display from both himself and his teammates, with Cedric Soares unable to contribute in his unfamiliar left-back position. So the next thing on the list is Jurgen Klopp's touchline fury. Both managers were their usual animated selves on the touchline in a chilly Emirates Stadium. Jurgen Klopp in particular spent much of the game bellowing instructions at his players and badgering the fourth official when decisions didn't go his team's way. The German showed an example of that frustration on 58 minutes when Alexandre Lacazette went down screaming after a challenge from a Reds defender. Alexandre Lacazette has previously been the subject of a Gary Lineker joke on Match of the Day after his screams were picked up in the recent match against Burnley, and Jurgen Klopp could be seen directing his fury at Alexandre Lacazette and questioning why he exaggerated the challenge, which saw him quickly get back up unscathed. So the next thing on the list is Mikel Arteta's tactical reminders. Mikel Arteta's game plan certainly didn't come to fruition against Liverpool, and the Spaniard would have let his players know exactly how he felt at full time. The Arsenal manager continues to metaphorically kick every ball for his team, encouraging every attack and defensive action throughout. He could be heard on 12 minutes telling Callum Chambers to reduce his distance from fellow defender Rob Holding, praising the Englishman for every positive action he managed in the first half. That encouragement was shared to nicolas pepe too, who struggled to assert himself on the game and didn't manage to give Arsenal any penetration in the final third. The final thing on the list is Rocky remembered. Although the players didn't produce the performance that was required against Liverpool, the club can be proud of themselves for marking 20 years since the passing of Arsenal legend David Rocastle. The players wore Rocastle 7 shirts in their warm-up before the game, and the PA system played his famous chant on 7 minutes. Whilst the result itself was hugely disappointing, there can be no doubt that today was all about remembering a player who has left a lasting legacy at Arsenal Football Club. So these were 5 things spotted in Arsenal versus Liverpool, but I also wanted to add some bonus things such as the conversation between Martin Odegaard and Jurgen Klopp, many people are taking this in many different ways, and for me, I see this as just a conversation and maybe Jurgen Klopp bigging up Arsenal as a possible destination for Martin Odegaard, or otherwise an opportunity for Jurgen Klopp to try and bring Martin Odegaard, who has been seen as a Liverpool fan, to the Liverpool Stadium and to the Anfield. So when it comes to Jurgen Klopp and Martin Odegaard, hopefully he's trying to convince him to stay in the Premier League and hopefully with the Gunners, because I am really concerned about the Odegaard factor. Next, when it comes to Alexander Lacazette, I just wanted to say that he did try his best in my opinion, and now we're starting to see he's going to be the number one striker of this club, because there are so many problems right now. We got Alexander Lacazette, who has been in a recent good form, but he has been struggling to get the ball and score. But at the same time, you need someone that is very clinical when it comes in front of the goal. And when I see Alexander Lacazette, he gets easy chances sometimes and he makes silly mistakes and he doesn't get it into the back of the net. But he works hard for the team, and that's something I like about Alexander Lacazette. And hopefully there's much more leadership and determination from this club, because we are starting to see people like Cedric starting to show their importance to the club, such as Cedric in that incident with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He has a conversation and tells him what to do. But the thing is, I don't see those leadership qualities in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And that's where a lot of problems are starting to come, because I think Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's captaincy is in a big position right now. Because when it comes to Aubameyang, all this time I wouldn't mind him as captain, because that was the one way to get him to sign a new deal. That was the one way to make sure he feels loved at the club. But when you start to not playing performances, people start to question your leadership qualities. And for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, it was his performances that made him a very strong captain, and many people followed behind him. But people like Cedric are starting to look more like a leader rather than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. But finally, it's all dependent on Thursday, and as I will say, it's all eyes on Thursday, because that's the more crucial match. Arsenal's chances of getting to the top four were already done and dusted at the start of the poor run, and hopefully the Gunners will be able to get a victory over Slavia Prague and qualify to the next round. But other than that, guys, remain blessed. Stay tuned for the next video, and peace.